If you're working for minimum wage or struggling to get by and can't afford good concert tickets, well, this song is your minister's version of saying, I love you. I'll buy you a diamond ring, my friend, if it makes you feel alright. I'll give you anything, my friend, if it makes you feel alright. I don't care too much for money, money can't buy me love. Say you don't need no diamond rings and I'll be satisfied. Tell me that you want the kind of things that money just can't buy. I don't care too much for money, money can't buy me love, can't buy me love. Everybody tells me so, can't buy me love. No, 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 no. I'll save the last verse for the very end. When I look at the price of concert tickets these days, I feel poor. And when I look at the price of housing and health care and college tuition, I feel poor. And yet when I think about the Tennessee Valley Unitarian Universalist Church, I feel rich. This is a wonderful congregation, and we live in a very special part of the world. When I was interviewing for this job, I said to the search committee, the best fringe benefit you can offer doesn't cost you anything. It's the Great Smoky Mountains National Park and the Cumberland Mountains and these beautiful lakes that are all around us and rivers. Surrounded by all this beauty, it's hard not to feel wealthy. If I had $1 million in the bank but I didn't have any of these things, I would be very poor indeed. So in America, we often think of our wealth as something that we have that other people don't have. We think about our wealth as maybe the size of our car or the quality of our home in our neighborhood or the investments in our stock portfolio or the amount of money in our bank. We think of that as our wealth. But this morning, I want us to think about the things that we share in common and to think of those things as our real wealth. I want us to think about how together we can co-create a commonwealth. I don't know about you, but I could never afford this building all on my own. I could never afford an art gallery in my house. I could never afford a choir to perform for me personally. It is by working together, that we have a commonwealth. Now, when I was in theology school, I noticed that some professors, when they were speaking about religion, would focus on differences, different dogmas, different creeds, different opinions. And other professors would focus on what we have in common. Love your neighbor as yourself. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Treat other people the way you want to be treated. Welcome the stranger, for by so doing you may be entertaining angels unaware. Love one another. These common values that we share, these truly are our common wealth. Over the past few weeks, I've been teaching a class called the Sermon on the Mount, and one of the teachings there is this: do not store up your treasures on earth, where moth and rust can destroy or thieves break in and steal, but store up your treasures in heaven, where moth and rust cannot destroy and thieves cannot break in and steal. Now, there are two ways to think about this. One is to think about it as delayed gratification. We may not have a mansion on earth, but we'll have a mansion in heaven. We may not have a treasure on earth, but we'll have treasure in heaven. And this is delayed gratification. This is what is sometimes called pie in the sky when you die. But I'm also reminded of something Abraham Lincoln once said. He was talking about a farmer in his neighborhood when he was a kid, and the farmer said, "When I do good, I feel good. And when I do bad, I feel bad. And that is my religion." When we do good, we feel good. And this good feeling is our wealth. Thieves cannot break in and steal it. Moth and rust cannot destroy it. This is our heavenly treasure within us. In the 19th century, the Unitarians talked about salvation by character. And Ralph Waldo Emerson used to put it this way. He said, character is always known. Thefts can never enrich. Thefts can never enrich. And generosity can never impoverish. It is through giving that we are wealthy. It is through sharing that we discover our common wealth. In the Sufi Muslim tradition, there is a trickster character known as Nasruddin, who is a wise fool. And one day he came into a village and he found all the people circled around a well. And there was a wealthy man who had fallen down into the bottom of the well, and he was flailing around saying, "Help, help." And people were leaning into the well with outstretched hands saying, "Give me your hand, give me your hand." But the wealthy man just continued to flounder and continued to call for help. And Nasruddin said, "I know what to do." And everybody got out of his way, and he leaned in and he reached out his hand and said, "Take my hand." And the rich man immediately grabbed his hand, and Nasruddin was able to pull him out of the well and save him from drowning. And people said, "I don't understand. What did you do that we didn't do?" And Nasruddin said, "Well, I knew this man, and he's a very miserly man, and I knew he wouldn't give anything to anybody. So when you said, 'Give me your hand,' he wasn't going to respond to that. So I said, 'Take my hand.'" This parable reminds us of how short-sighted we can be. Our inability to give our hand may be what holds us back. It can be self-limiting and self-destructive. Our inability to give may be what keeps us in an unnatural predicament. And our ability to give is what allows us to get out of that predicament. If Surgeon General tells us that loneliness is an epidemic in our time, that is the predicament that we are in today. And if loneliness is the disease, then community is the cure. If isolation is the problem, then community is the solution. And so it is by our ability to give that we are able to receive. During this time of pandemic, I have been amazed at how creative people have been in building community. I've seen people out in the garden raising vegetables that will be delivered to people who are hungry in public housing and in other places, finding new ways to do mission. I've seen people get creative and learn new skills, learn how to do Zoom and learn how to do new technologies in order to have small group ministries, heart-to-heart circles, minister check-ins, meditation groups, men's groups, finding new ways to stay connected, outdoor worship services, outdoor art activities, outdoor events here on our campus and in public parks around the community. People have been very creative about creating community together. Now, if we think about, I'm reminded of the story that Catherine told earlier about the 5 loaves and the 2 fishes. And when we think about church as a private consumer product in a materialistic world, then that's all we have are 5 loaves and 2 fishes. But when we realize that we can be co-creators of the Commonwealth, then and only then do we have abundance. This year, the Reverend Jametta Alston noticed that there were homeless people coming to the water faucet outside of our building. And she decided if they were coming to us when they were thirsty, they also might want something to eat. And so she made a box that contained food. And this is what she did on her own. But then co-creativity came in. Many people started working together to create this lovely food pantry that we have out in front of our church that is helping feed people in need during this time of crisis. You heard earlier from Heather Kistner. She's telling you the truth. I'm always letting her in the building. This co-creativity, creating a community that feeds people 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. An amazing ministry that's been born in this time, beginning with the seed of an idea, an observation by the Reverend Jametta, and growing to be a community shared enterprise. This is co-creating the Commonwealth together. It's like Rabbi Reimer said, it's not enough to pray to God to feed the hungry, because we have enough creativity to do that ourselves. We have enough resources. We have enough imagination to do that ourselves. We have enough co-creativity to create the Commonwealth. There's a story about a wealthy man who wants to give money to a beggar, but the beggar says, before I can accept your money, I need to know, are you a rich man? And the man says, yes, I am a rich man. I have 30 gold coins in my purse right now. And the beggar says, would you like to have 60 gold coins? And the man says, yes, I would love to have 60 gold coins. And the beggar said, would you like to have 100 gold coins? And he said, of course, I would love to have 100 gold coins. And the beggar said, would you like to have 200 gold coins? And the man said, yes, I would love to have 200 gold coins. And the beggar said, well, I cannot accept money from you, because it seems like no matter how much you have, you want more. So you are very poor, whereas I, who am content with what I have, am rich. And this is what spiritual community is all about. That's what we try to do at the Tennessee Valley Unitarian Universalist Church. Focus on those common values that lead to contentment. For when we are content with what we have, we are well and truly rich. It's true what the Beatles say, money can't buy us love, but money and our resources and our creativity can help us create community together. So I invite you to pledge to the church to make an annual gift that we can depend on to do the work and the mission of this church. We need to have more people pledging this year than ever before, because we have more challenges than ever before. So if you've never pledged to the church before, I invite you to pledge today. But here's why I want you to do it. If you can't afford those concert tickets, if when you think about those prices of housing, and you think about so many other material possessions, and you feel poor, well, I want you to think about the Tennessee Valley Unitarian Universalist Church. And when you do so, I want you to feel rich. Together, we can co-create the Commonwealth. I'll give you all I've got to give if you say you'll love me true. I may not have a lot to give, but what I've got I give to you. I don't care too much for money. Money can't buy me love, can't buy me love. Everybody tells me so, can't buy me love. No, 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 can't buy me love. Love can't buy me love. Peace. Amen.